Boom shakalaka, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters around the world. It is the chocolate. It is the Nubian. It is the soul. It's the chocolate Nubian soul brother from down under, mate. You know I give it to you live, uncensored. Here from the solar plexus chakra of the world, mate. You can rely on me because I'm on team. Be sure to like the video, subscribe, click on the bell, tell your friends, tell your momos, tell your mum, drop us some comments, drop us those cryptocurrencies, let us know what it is. Check us out on the Patreon for some podcasts, for some extra footage. And buckle up, bitches. This shit is about to get real. Now, ladies and gentlemen, obviously, we have seen somewhat of a turn around in the last few months where a lot of countries are taking a step back on the restrictions, the mandates, and so forth. But make no mistake about it, this agenda is in full swing. If you guys are under the opinion that this thing is over, we're seeing a turn back, we're not going to see more and more reaches for power by the establishment, then you better check yourself before you wreck yourself. A lot of people are under the idea that they can somehow run away from this thing, that you can cast the wool over your eyes, you can retire to a country or a state. I mean, Lord knows there are some states, some countries that are not as extreme in the restrictions as other countries or other states like here in Australia, mate. And currently I'm in the Gold Coast where things are not too bad, but they're definitely better places like Byron Bay, which I've been looking at, where apparently they don't really have many of these mandates at all. But make no mistake about it, regardless of where you are in the world, Mexico or Canada where things are in full swing, you can't run away from this thing. The people behind what is going on are going to do what they can in order to bring about more and more control, because this is the general theme. This is the general ethos of the 21st century: power, control. Unfortunately, we are living in a world right now where people, unfortunately, don't care about freedom. They care about this talismanic word, safety. And I don't even believe a lot of them buy into that. I think it's just a word that's used to justify anything. I always get frustrated when people want to focus on the science about what is going on. They say, oh, look, the science is showing this, and if the science says it's safe, now we can give you back your freedoms. As long as you focus on the science, you will never win this battle, because the people behind this, whether it's the politicians, medical establishment, or the pharmaceutical companies, fundamentally, they will use the science to justify anything. You will go blue in the face because ultimately, even when the science is crystal clear, they will obfuscate this in order to suit their agenda. Because fundamentally, people don't care about the science. They care about their agenda. They care about looking bad, being made a fool of. Of course, they have to present this notion that every decision they've made has been justified. Therefore, going back and truly following the science, which means reconsidering your default position and learning from your mistakes, coming up with new understandings of things, is something that is not being followed at all. People would much rather follow their egos, much rather not be made to look like fools. Because ultimately, there is no amount of science that is going to justify the erosion of people's rights. Human rights was supposed to mean something. It's not a case of you have human rights until the science shows that we can take away your human rights through this new lens of proportionality. It's about human rights, period. No ifs, buts, and maybes. You do not have the right to circumvent someone's individual, unalienable rights. I mean, that was the beauty of the Americas, right? The fact that the founding fathers formed this concept of liberty, that each individual, I would advocate every sentient being, is endowed with this God-given, unalienable right to live their life, provided they are not infringing on the unalienable rights of others. But now we're in a realm where people, politicians, these momos think they can circumvent your rights. I was watching a video with Trudeau, some kind of a Senate hearing, I think it was, in Canada, where his opposition was asking him whether or not he would follow the science. And end these mandates, these restrictions. And of course, Trudeau proceeded to say that essentially, you can check this out for yourself.
Lockdowns and mandates, we're seeing things change very quickly, and rightly so. Dr. Tam has said that vaccine mandates should be reevaluated, and today the chair of the Quebec Liberal Caucus clearly and strongly stated it's time to end the divisiveness and the politicization and end the mandates. We Conservatives could not agree more. This cannot be a slow and dragged-out process simply because of the Prime Minister's ego, pride, or denial. Canadians are too tired. Canadians need hope. So will the Prime Minister follow the science, follow the evidence, and the restrictions and the mandates?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, everyone is sick and tired of lockdowns, of the measures we have to do, of the sacrifices we've had to make. But Canadians have continued to step up over the past 2 years, been there for each other, been there to get vaccinated. And that's the unity we've seen across the country of people who've been there for their neighbours, who've been there for their frontline health workers. That's what Canadians are going to continue to do. That's how we get through and back to the things we love. We're going to continue to follow the science. We're going to continue to have Canadians' backs. We're going to continue to protect people's lives.
The Honourable Leader of...
But in his words, everything that he has been doing has been in the interest of following the science. And this is what these purveyors of illusion will always argue, that it is for the greater good, that their actions are done in order to protect you. This is the plea of every tyrant. And this is what we will continue to see if we allow them to use the science in order to justify this. We are moving into a new age, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the age of Aquarius. We are moving into the transhuman age. I mean, with people like Elon Musk with their Neuralink implants, it seems that we are ever moving towards a direction where the human species will be altered, will be merging our consciousness with cybernetic implants. I came across an article where human-computer interfaces are being connected through patients' veins. The age of the cyborg is one step closer after a team of scientists and engineers connected a human being to a computer by inserting electrodes through the veins. The electronic interface used a stent, a tiny expandable tube of the kind often used in heart surgery, to pass the wires into the body. These electrodes picked up the tiny electrical signals generated by the nervous system when a person thinks about moving and pass these signals to a computer. We're here already. I mean, not only are we seeing people being inundated with information that is changing the way in which they think, the way in which they view reality, but their physiology is also being altered. We're seeing our physical body has been merged with technology. Not only are we changing on the mental plane, but also on the physical plane. And you change these two things, and essentially you change the spiritual nature of people. People become so lost in this Euclidean meat space, in this simulacra, that they forget who they really are, their inner divine nature. The fact that they are not of these physical meat bags.
We are not these crude bodies, we are of light.
I think Master Yoda once said something to the effect of that. But fundamentally, ladies and gentlemen, I'm all down for people making decisions on how they want to alter themselves. If you want to chop up your penis and call yourself a woman, I'm all down with that. Just don't force me to call you that. If you want to augment yourself with some kind of technology, this Neuralink device, hey, I might at some point. If I lose an arm or I lose my penis and I want to get a better one that's smaller, because mine's too big right now, by all means, I have a right to. But the issue I have is people forcing this stuff on you, telling you that, oh, look, mate, you're not allowed to exist because you have not gotten the Neuralink device 5.9. And in order for you to be part of society, just to make sure that you're safe, we need to make sure that you have this thing in your body. Otherwise, you might think the right kind of thoughts. I mean, you can see it so clearly. In the future, you'll need to wear this thing because, wait for it, this talismanic words, because of the safety. Unless, of course, you have this new device, you might think inappropriate thoughts that might bring about a revolution. We got to censor the anti-waxers and the misfits from having inappropriate thoughts. I mean, literally, I came across an article just the other day where the Australian government is now requiring kids to learn how to use the internet. They need to license kids. You need to get a license to use the internet to make sure that you are trained in how to navigate the dangers. And it's hilarious to me. It sounds all good and well, right? Because the internet is dangerous. But the reality is that you don't stumble onto things accidentally through the internet. The only reason kids stumble onto this stuff is because they want to find this stuff. When kids find themselves looking at whether it's inappropriate images or information, they're actively looking for this stuff. You don't somehow fall into trouble on the internet. So I can only imagine that this license that is going to be given is going to train kids, indoctrinate them in order to think the right kind of way so they don't actively pursue information that is considered nefarious. So Australian children will earn a digital license to use the internet safely under a new plan by Labor. The internet is not a dangerous playground. It doesn't suddenly come to your doorstep and force you to look at information. I mean, granted, you have spam, but fundamentally, people access information because they want to. It's like with anything. It's like with most technologies. It's not the fact that these technologies are inherently evil. It's the fact that the wielder of this technology is the one that can use it for either good or evil. A gun is neither good or bad. The internet is neither good or bad. It's the fact that people will will this in order to do horrible things. If we taught our children this and we educated them with the right kind of values, principles, to actually value truth, justice, freedom, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, to give them a better understanding of how the world works, not with these 21st century Orwellian ideologies of, oh, we got to keep you safe. Perhaps they would be better at using these technologies like the internet and not finding themselves being taken advantage of by the state. Oh, the world is a very weird place, ladies and gentlemen, particularly when you have a look at what's going on in Canada right now. So we have the biggest convoy in the history of the world.
What?
That's right. It's so big that the media can't even play this thing down. All they can do is call the people that are going to these rallies racist and misogynistic. You're racist. Trudeau gave an amazing speech where he labeled these people as sexist, racist, and advocating for hate speech, which is what these momos always do, rather than addressing the real issues.
Over the past few days, Canadians were shocked and frankly disgusted by the behavior displayed by some people protesting in our nation's capital. Hate can never be the answer. I want to be very clear. We are not intimidated by those who hurl insults and abuse at small business workers and steal food from the homeless. We won't give in to those who fly racist flags. We won't cave to those who engage in vandalism or dishonor the memory of our veterans. Tous les Canadiens ont le droit d'exprimer leur opinion ou leur désaccord avec leur gouvernement, mais ils n'ont pas le droit de menacer ou de harceler leurs concitoyens ni de propager des messages de haine. There is no place in our country for threats, violence, or hatred. So to those responsible for this behavior, it needs to stop. To anyone who joined the convoy but is rightly uncomfortable with the symbols of hatred and division on display, join with your fellow Canadians.
Rather than just blatantly saying that we value safety over freedom, over human rights, no, they paint this narrative that these people are racist and sexist, which is just a word that you can use to say anything. It's kind of like just a buzzword in the 21st century. It's like saying, it just emphasizes your point. You know, it's like you're racist, you racist Momo, you sexist Momo. I mean, it's just something that people say without any real weight. Can put it behind anything. It's like the F word, right? Fucking moron. Fucking douchebag. So you just got to use the word sexist or racist, and it adds emphasis to it. It's not based on the fact that they are actually of a sexist or racist mentality, but it just adds Momoism to your arguments. At least in the way that these Orwellian dictators use this stuff, use this phrase. So, whereas there are thousands, millions of people in Canada planting themselves like a tree beside the river of truth in Canada, standing against these lockdowns, these mandates, these violations of the freedom, we are seeing this thing, this love of freedom catch on like a fire. In Canberra, we are having thousands, tens and thousands, maybe a million, I've heard, of people that are gathering at the Parliament steps of Canberra to stand against the tyranny that is going on here. Because make no mistake about it, as I keep saying, granted we seem to be seeing some kind of a respite to the mandates, this stuff is still going on. And these people, I assure you, are not going to take a step back. They may take a step back a little, but only to go forward. There is an agenda at play. There's been an agenda at hand for hundreds of years, and we are moving more and more into tyranny. You only have to look at the world. And whereas I keep saying, I often say that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. It is very hard to see that bend towards justice right now, because we are so quickly moving into a tyrannical state. We are seeing more and more violations of freedom. We are seeing the world now, and over the last 50 or so years, I'd say that it is undeniable that there has been less and less freedom, less and less justice in the world. We are seeing governments use this argument that we're doing it for your safety, whether they're invading countries and apparently freeing them, like the United States did with Iraq, or whether or not they are saying that we're trying to protect you from the spread of a virus. Bearing in mind that there are actual lawyers now that are actually challenging the legitimacy of the entire pandemic. Rainer Fuellmich has actually taken upon himself to begin trials with a bunch of many other lawyers, proving the erroneous nature of what the establishment has been conducting. That there is not only fraud, but intent to actually commit the most egregious violations of human rights. Genocide, even. But anyway, I won't go into that. You'll have to check out Rainer Fuellmich's work for yourself. I can't even speak about it unless I get flagged. But make no mistake about it, this war is raging on. And it is a war. It is a war of the mind. It is a war of the heart. And as I often say, in fact, this is one of the main contentions of my new book, which I shall be releasing, that it is incumbent upon all of us as warriors to be disciplined, to stand against tyranny whenever it raises its head. Tyranny is something that permeates all areas of our life. And a real warrior, rather than looking at the things that we are facing and looking at them as horrible and evil, looks at these things as challenges, as an opportunity to grow. Be thankful for the opportunity that you were born into a generation that is able to experience these things, that is waking up, is able to see the clear and utter hypocrisy and evil that is going on in this world. And be thankful that it is giving you an opportunity not only to see through the illusion, but to have the courage to become stronger in order to bring about an efflorescence of consciousness. As JFK once said, ask not for easier times, ask to be stronger men or bitches or trannies or whatever it is that you identify as. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, freaks and geeks, Surya Namaskar, Namaste. Illuminate your minds with wisdom. Strengthen your will with love. Purge all negative thought patterns from your existence. Strive to be the best that you can be in all things. You can never be more. You can never be less. And be sure to share this video. Tell your mom. Tell your friends. Check us out on the Patreon if you want to hear more of these wisdomatic truth bombs from the Chocolate Nubian Soul Brother. Until next time, Surya Namaskar. Namaste. Ow!
What is liberty?
What the? Who says you can't build muscle on a vegan diet?
What's it like being a hottie in the vegan community?
There are no political solutions, only technological ones.
The economics of the system don't allow multiple competing systems to survive.
Engineering, technology, these arts of humanity, they are magic.